Exceptional views of the Appalachian Mountains at peak leaf season, a engineering marvel built across a delicate ecosystem in the mountains, and short hikes with epic views make up this week's episode of Far From Ordinary. So this week we are in our hometown of Boone, North Carolina. Well, hometown for now. Gets more of that later. But it was nice to finally be back in the area where we launched from 2.5 years ago. Boone is an amazing, beautiful town. Nestled in the mountains, the Blue Ridge Mountains at elevation 3,000 feet. It's home to App State University. So it's a college town full of hikes and outdoor activities and local eats and just an amazing place to come and spend your time. We lived in Boone for a little over 4 years?
5 years.
5 years before we got on the road. So we are intimately familiar with the entire area. So we are going to share with you a ton of cool things to do and then a bonus list of like 10 extra things that we didn't have time to do while we were here, but is within a few hours drive of Boone. When you're in Boone, you can't miss the Blue Ridge Parkway. Beautiful scenic drive that follows the ridge lines of the Blue Ridge Mountain, extends from the border of Virginia and North Carolina all the way down to Asheville. However, you can go further in Virginia, and that's called Skyline Drive. They designed it really well. There's no gas station signs. There's no lines on the sides of the roads.
They tried to keep it as natural looking as possible. You know, it's an escape.
Right.
It's a scenic drive for sure. Beautiful curves through the mountains, and I guess with that they wanted to change up the scenery as you would come around these different views. So some spots you're like in tunnels of trees, and then other spots it opens to these views that just go on forever. So it's really neat the way they put it all together.
People have been driving this road for many years. It's a great place to ride your motorcycle. Tons of overlooks to pull off and catch in the views. Speed limit ranges from 35 to 45 miles an hour. So if you're in a hurry, don't get on the Blue Ridge Parkway, especially during peak leaf season, because you will not be able to get through anywhere, especially at the major sites. One of those major sites being Rough Ridge. This is a little over a mile hike, a couple 100 feet in elevation gain.
Hiking poles if you're not a strong hiker.
It's a nice hike. It goes up to a boardwalk area that's helping to protect that fragile ecosystem up there. Gives you long range views of the Appalachian Mountains. When you're finished with Rough Ridge, you can drive right down and cross over the Linn Cove Viaduct. Engineering marvel. It's won numerous awards. They put a lot of time, energy, and thought into how to structure this viaduct. It's a cement bridge. It's made of 153 segments, each weighing about 50 tons each. You were saying they built it from either end first?
Right. Well, they had started the Parkway, and they had one side done, they had the other side done, but then they had this part where you have to get around the mountain. When they first started proposing this, the locals were not a fan of it. Because of the fragile ecosystems, they were afraid that however they were going to build this, it was going to tear things up. So they had to come up with these new inventive ways. Rather than building new roads, like sometimes they do for big, heavy equipment, they used the existing parkway, and they would come from one side or the other with their equipment, and then they would
drop them in place, essentially.
Use a big crane and put them in place and attach it there.
It took many years to finish that end of the parkway because there was disagreement on how to best finish it without doing any kind of impact at all. So they finished it in 1983. You can go to the Linn Cove Viaduct Visitor Center. From there, you can hike the Tanawah Trail, which is a 13-mile trail, but it goes underneath the Linn Cove Viaduct. And so you only maybe hike a mile or two max. And you can hike underneath the viaduct. You can get the first glimpse of it. And then you can go on from there, maybe a quarter mile or so. There's a sign on the left. If you look off to the right, you'll find a path, and it goes up to a rock. And from the rock, you'll get that iconic view of the Linn Cove Viaduct and the curve. A lot of people miss this path, but it's there, and you can climb up onto the rock. It's relatively safe, so you can get great views of the viaduct that way. When you're done with the Linn Cove Viaduct and hiking that, you can drive a little bit further down, just at the exit for 221 Grandfather Mountain. You'll find a overlook for Beacon Heights. This is another mile-ish hike, only a couple hundred feet in elevation gain, not as much as Rough Ridge, but still a relatively easy hike to get up to this bald that's made of stone. Gives you great views of Grandmother Mountain. It's an amazing place to watch the sunrise from there. It's most often packed. There's two different viewpoints. You can take the path to the right or to the left. If you take the path to the left, it'll take you to another rocky outcropping, and that one will give you views of Grandfather Mountain behind you. And if you look close, you can actually see the cars driving up Grandfather Mountain.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
One of the most known stores in Boone is Mast General. It's a general store. It contains all kinds of candy and vintage like stickers and Lodge cast iron pans, and it has an extensive selection of jams and jellies.
And they have clothes and boots and hiking gear. And
general store / outfitter store. It's not the first one. The first one was in Valley Cruces. They also have an annex store there for clothing and stuff. It's 45 minutes or so.
That one's really cool because it is the original. It's in the original building. You know, the squeaky floors and stairs. They have the mailboxes, the really old mailboxes still in there from when it was used as a post office. That one's really neat to check out too. Yeah,
definitely cool to check out after you check out the one in Boone. If you're looking to get good views of Boone, you can check out Howard Knob Park. Howard Knob, as it's known geographically, technically speaking, however, all the locals know to it as Howard's Knob. There's lots of history around this park. They were going to try to develop it. There's lots of history of climbing in Boone. They were going to try to demolish those boulders. They saved the top of the hill, turn it into a park. There's a fence there, and there's a rock that you can climb up on. You can get great views of downtown Boone. It's open seasonally. Their views are really good from the daytime too. There's not really a hike involved. It's just a park to go up there, drive to. There's picnic tables there, so you can pick up your snacks in Boone and then drive up to Howard's Knob Park for your picnic. So having spent almost 5 years in Boone, we've done so much, and so much stuff that was not on our list of things when we were here. Grandfather Mountain is one of those. This is a privately owned mountain, and they charge you
$20 per adult. And
so it would have cost us like $75 just for us to go up to the top of the mountain. If you haven't been up there before, it's probably worth going to because there's a big mile-high swinging bridge. It only sits 80 feet off the ground, so it's not a terrible bridge, although it did take me 5 visits to go across that thing the first time. You can walk across and you have an amazing view of the surrounding areas and of Grandfather Mountain. There's an animal prison up there. A zoo. There's a nature center up there. There's a visitor center. There's a cafe there. You can get your lunch and stuff. A lot of the trails end up here, like Profile Trail, which is a very long trail that starts on 105. Will take you all the way to the top of Grandfather Mountain. If you hike up Profile Trail, you can visit Grandfather Mountain for free. Otherwise, to drive up there, you have to pay for it. Elk Knob. Elk Knob is a wonderful hike right within the Boone area. It's actually located at Meat Camp right outside of Boone. It's only 15 minutes from our cabin. Relatively decent hike on the way up.
It is, yeah.
A couple miles, but we used to go up there to watch sunrises all the time. The sunrises are epic from up there, especially if you get an inversion event where the clouds are low, and then you'll be above the clouds. There's many times where we did morning hikes. We started at dark. So that's a great hike worth checking out. Profile Trail, we mentioned that one. You can hike that one to Calloway Peak. Another one worth interest is the Daniel Boone Scout Trail. This one is a 7 to 8 mile, 2,000 foot elevation gain. Also goes up Grandfather Mountain. This one is unique in that it'll top you off on Calloway Peak, but just before the peak, there's a plane crash that you can check out. They decided it was too expensive to remove the wreck, so most of the avionics have been removed, but you can actually visit the plane crash.
Yeah.
Linville Gorge, they call this the Grand Canyon of the East. It's a giant gorge with 2,000 foot cliffs on either side, and the Linville River snakes right through there. You can check out the Linville Falls, which is a gushing waterfall. Sometimes there's adventurous daredevil kayakers that go over the edge there.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, down Linville Falls. It's especially spectacular to watch after a heavy rain because the water will just be gushing through. There's 2 hikes. One will take you to the upper falls, one will take you to the lower falls, and there's a numerous amount of hikes that will take you into the gorge. This is a wilderness area. There's no cell reception anywhere in there. A lot of the trails are unmarked, but it's worth going down to adventure there. One of those trails, Shortoff Mountain, will take you to epic views of Linville Gorge, like from straight on. It's a 5 to 6 mile hike. It's around the Table Rock area. We'll throw some links up below, but that, if you want to get impressive views of Linville Gorge, the hike to Shortoff Mountain is definitely one to not miss. We loved our time in Boone. But Boone has exploded in popularity and in traffic.
Right.
App State keeps growing and growing and growing.
Every year they're bringing in thousands more students.
The infrastructure cannot keep up.
No.
So over the last few years, it has gotten so bad that the traffic is just gridlocked all the way down. So it has lost that small mountain
absolutely.
to us.
Right.
We have spent years here. You may think differently. We still recommend everyone visit Boone. It's an amazing place to come and visit. But I think our chapter here is finally coming to a close. We kept the cabin. It's been an Airbnb. It's been booked almost the entire time, but we're still just breaking even. So yeah, with everything we've seen, I think we've realized that Boone is just this island in the sky with amazing things to do around the area, amazingly beautiful area, but it's just not enough.
Right.
Once we got a little taste of the West, that we can't wait to get back out west.
Right.
So the cabin's going up for sale, and our chapter will fully close here in Boone, North Carolina. So we're looking forward to see what the future brings as we search for our new home state.
Yeah, it's bittersweet.
It is. What else to say about Boone?
Yeah, I don't know. This one's different because we have actual connection.
Yeah, emotional tie to the area.
So we love Boone, and we'll be coming back to visit for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Your grandfather is still here.
Right.
Lives over in Sleepy Fleetwood, which is a couple towns over. So there's an amazing plethora of things to do here, from the Blue Ridge Parkway to the city of Boone to the Roan Highlands, which we didn't even talk about around the area.
Yeah.
Amazing hikes out there on the Appalachian Trail. But that's it.
Yeah.
Definitely make Boone part of your stop through.
If you have any questions, if you're looking for suggestions, we can definitely help.
Yes.
Because there's so much more than what this video shows.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have any comments or questions, leave them below and we'll definitely answer them for you. So we're out of here. We're off to Houston and then back out west. If you like this video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up and we'll see you on the next one. Look at it, Todd.